Okay, well, I had an awesome privilege of going to Europe with my dad. We planned it for a very short time. It was kind of, spur of the moment. And so I got on the internet to find out how do we do this. I had no idea, never been traveling like that. So I found a fellow who does tours of Normandy, and he was the first one that popped up. And of course, I'm just not very computer literate or safe or anything like that. But I emailed him and gave him my dad's bio a little bit, and he said, please come, be my guest, stay with me, and I will personally take you around Normandy for 3 days. And then we were offered by a Contessa over there of the House of Husay. Never heard of it before, but she's awesome. Her name is Dorothea. And she wanted to get his papers to have the French Legion of Honor given to him while he was there. And so then she asked us to stay an extra day in her castle. So we were really kind of hobnobbing with the bigwigs. And so we got there, and it was a pretty emotional and intense thing. Daddy has not been back to Omaha Beach at all since the war. So he came in on the first wave with the big red 1 unit on Omaha Beach on Easy Red, which today would be translated into Echo Romeo, right? Right. Right. And it was the hardest beach to come in on, and they were just totally under fire. It was nothing less than a miracle that he survived. Anyway, I've got some papers over there that kind of tell a little bit about the war, about their ordeal. There are 3 books over there. It's called the Fighting First. It's a book about that. Daddy did not write it, but it's about his unit coming in on D-Day. And if you want it, and he can sign it, that's fine. So I think I'm just gonna turn it over to questions. So he was 19 when he entered the Army. He was 22 when you went to Normandy? Right. Yeah. Newly married to my mom, and just 3 months, and then he went to war. And she had gotten 3 letters over the time he was in the Army that he was missing in action.
Actually, I was in a cafe in Paris.
She did ask him. She said, so where were you when you were missing in action? He said, a little bistro in Paris.
Sounds like AWL.
Yeah, right.
In terms today.
So he got into Omaha. There were only, well, I'll let him tell that story, but after that he went all the way through France, did not go to Paris, went up to Germany, Brussels, Belgium, and got shot at the Battle of the Bulge in the knee, which was his ticket home.
That was the very happiest day of my life. I was going home.
Yeah. So let's just start with some questions, and we'll answer, because between the 2 of us, we know, right?
She mentioned that she had the greatest time because she was with her dad. Or her dad had the greatest time because he was with her. So don't let her teach you.
We did have a good time. We even got lost in Paris. We were only in Paris itself for 3 days, but one time we were so lost we could not find our way back to the hotel. And Daddy said, well, he kept a card in the hotel, which was really smart, because then he just gives it to the taxi driver. So we got a taxi, and he goes around and in 2 blocks drops us off at our hotel door. Yeah, we could never figure out where the Arc de Triomphe was. Is it here? Are we on this side of it, that side of it, which side of it? And you can't get there from
anywhere. I think there's 7 or 8 different streets that go up to the Arc de Triomphe. We've been there. And you can't just walk over to the other one. You have to go clear around this thing. We got all this stuff.
We did. Tell them, Daddy, about the first and only time you went under the Arc de Triomphe.
Yeah. Yeah, the first time I went under the Arc de Triomphe, I was in a military ambulance, but I knew where we were. There was a tiny window on this thing, and I could see it. And I didn't actually know or much care what it was until I found out that was our route. So that was extremely touching. Also, after going through the arch, they took me to the hospital, and all the writing in the hospital, like the emergency room and operating room, was in German. They still hadn't had time to paint over, change the name in French.
I didn't realize before we went there that, I must have known it, but I didn't really click with me, that France was under German occupation for, what, about 4 years before you came in? Which, there was a lot going on with the war over there and Hitler, and it was horrendous. It was really awful. And for our boys to come in and to help the troops and be a part of all of that in such an incredible way. The French people there today, there was not one person, youngster or old, nobody, who did not stop Dad and say thank you for your service. Incredible. We had a bunch of schoolgirls, didn't we? You want to tell, when we were down on Omaha Beach, and our guide plotted right where Dad probably came in, within, a few hundred yards or something. And we were standing down there. It was pretty emotional for Daddy, and there were only about 4 people on the beach. Within a couple minutes, what happened?
Well, he was a history.
Yes, yes.
His history teacher came up to you and was talking.
Was talking to me, yeah.
And all of a sudden, I'm surrounded by these beautiful French girls. And they, each and every one had to have a picture taken with me. And I was embarrassed. And they all went down a piece of paper. I had to sign the paper for them. It took about a half hour.
Oh, yeah, yeah, easily,
But,
yeah.
it was so touching to me because one little blonde French girl came up and
Gave him a hug, and she just cried and cried and cried. And she was just so overwhelmed with Thanksgiving for what Dad did. We were in Friday Harbor yesterday down at the t-shirt shop, and it was filled with teenagers. And he had his World War II hat on, he had his jacket on. There was not one person who said thank you for your service. There wasn't one girl who noticed, or a guy, anybody in town. We went to a coffee shop afterwards, nobody. And he didn't wear anything different than he wore in France. And everybody would stop. I mean, we would not know who they were, and they would really want to shake his hands. Except the one guard. I wanted Dad to have a picture with this guy because he had the same gun that Daddy used in the Army. And he was guarding some building. And so I just go up to him and ask him in my broken French, which is much, if Dad could have a picture. And he said, no, go away. And I tried to explain to him who he was and what he did. Oh, yes, come, picture. It was very sweet. But everybody there, yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about the ceremony in the American Embassy with the ambassador?
No, we weren't actually in the embassy.
Oh, okay.
Dorothea figured out where the ambassador was going to be. Ambassador knew she was going to be meeting these guys.
Right.
And we met her at the Pointe du Hoc.
Oh, okay, she
Yeah.
was out there.
She was out there, and
Okay.
she was going to, because we were in the D-Day celebration kind of thing, she was going to give a big speech. Well, our guide and Dorothea did not want us to hang around for the speech because it's just kind of boring, I guess. But we wanted to meet her, and she wanted to meet them. So she did. You want to tell anything about that?
She
No. She, it's really funny because I didn't realize how up she is in the government. And she was shaking everybody's hands and shook Daddy's hands and talked to him for quite a bit. She came up to me and I gave her a hug. And she probably, her people, her security people were kind of like, I thought, no, I'm safe, I'm okay. But she gave him a beautiful medallion, which we have on the back table there. That is from she's the U.S. ambassador to France. And she was very gracious, very nice. And she talked with the fellows that were there.
Yeah, she was a super person. You could talk to her like anybody,
Cheri, did you get the sense that she knew ahead of time that Bert was going to be there?
Yes, yes,
Wonderful.
yes, she did,
That's good.
yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
How many guys from your unit were there with you?
I'm a little hard to.
Okay,
How many guys from your unit
were able to make it over during?
were over to make it over there?
We went in on D-Day off the LCIs. There was probably 25 guys on each LCI. LCI is the landing craft. And we went in, our company was overstaffed. We wondered why, and it didn't take long to figure out why. But we had 189 in our company. About 3 to 4 hours later, when we got up on top of the first ridge there and had a chance to kind of get organized, everything was complete confusion. But we had 63 left. We lost 2/3 of our company, either dead or wounded. My squad, I had 12 men, and we got up there, I had 3 left, 2 besides myself. So you can imagine how lucky I was.
Wow.
Just unreal.
Did any of your comrades make it to the ceremony? Any other from the squad? No?
Anybody from your L company? No.
No.
Oh, but tell them about the man that put you on the beach.
The what?
The man that put him, that, at the ceremony. The man
Do you
that,
want to tell them about the ceremony and meeting your pilot?
Oh, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Keep it up right now.
I was at the, was that in the atmosphere? Well, wherever it was anyway. They had
It was at a castle. It was at the Countess's castle.
ceremony for the Legion of Honor medal. And there was 6 of us who received this medal, not from my outfit. They were
From all
French,
over England
French.
and paratroopers and.
And they had 6 seats lined up on the stage. And I was busy talking to somebody. So I was the last fellow to go up on the stage. The other 5 guys were there. And Dorothea came up when I went on the stage. She says, "You're not going to be sitting on that far end." So she went over and took the chair. She said, "You're going to sit next to the podium." And there was, of course, the fellow next to me. And I started chatting with him before the ceremony started. And he was asking me about where I was. I told him I went in on Omaha Beach. He said, "Well, what sector did you go in on?" It was divided into sectors. I said, "Easy Red." And he says, he says, "I was the skipper on the ship that we transferred to the LCIs on." He says, "I was the skipper of the ship that you got off." What a very cool guy. Couldn't believe it. And what was the name of it?
The name was the Empire Handbook.
And I recognized the name right away when he said it, but I never thought about it ever before, never mentioned it, but just like that, it came to me on ship. But it was such a miracle because he should be there and she should move that chair over. That would never known it. And he probably got more emotional than that, but
Not more than me.
he just hugged me and he was crying. Just a great moment.
was he an American
No,
also, or
English.
English?
Yeah, they had English boat captains transporting the U.S. troops.
The LCIs were manned by the skipper of the boat. There was just one man running the LCI, which I think is why we got off on such. He left us off in water up to my chest. And when we had left the ship to get on the LCIs, they supplied us with May West, or kind of a belt lifesaver. And we're warned, don't wear it as a belt, get it under your shoulders. And you know, GI Joe, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll do that already. And a lot of them didn't do it. A lot of them got hit and foundered and feet up. So if they were just willing to drown because of that, they should have listened. Got that.
What kind of a gun were you carrying over your head when you got off the outside?
Our guns were M1, probably some of you fellows don't around M1. And about 5 days later, it was all head-to-toe fighting, short distances. And M1 really was not what I wanted, at least. And I contacted the tank commander, and I told him he had a Tommy gun. And I said, did you train that Tommy gun? 2 Lugers, M1? He said, 2 Lugers? Oh, yeah. So I got his Tommy gun. And I'll tell you, if everyone would have had a Tommy gun when we were fighting in the hedgerows, the war would have been much shorter. We were just not outmanned, outgunned by far. They had what we call a machine pistol. They carried this way in, and we called them Bert guns, because that's what it sounded like, it was Bert. Probably 20 rounds before you realized what was going on. Not too bad. And our tanks were 37mm guns, and we're up against 88s. Not good, but we won anyway.
Another question. Yeah, Gary.
Could you talk about the difficulty that the hedgerows provided?
Yeah, at first until someone wised up and put a plow on the tanks, and they busted through the hedgerows. So we had otherwise it was.
They were full of thorns. I thought when he was talking about hedgerows, you know, these huge bushes and stuff that they had to go through, and I thought, okay, that would be hard. But they were all thorns. And I guess the Germans planted them, right? They put them there for a reason? Oh, you don't know that? Okay.
The farmers, that's rather offensive.
Oh, okay, yeah. James?
So I was curious because you were obviously a teenager during, World War II, and then, going in still technically as a teenager, I guess. But I was just curious, like, what were your thoughts, kind of, even as a teen during the wars, and then going into being in the service, and then all of a sudden finding yourself heading in that direction? Like, I was just curious about some of the things that kind of went through your head during those years and looking back.
He was a teenager. He went in with a couple of good buddies, and they had a really good time at the beginning of the Army during training and stuff. He told me he spent a lot of time in KP because of discipline issues.
There was 3 of us. The way it happened, I was at Fort Benning, Georgia. We had a special unit that was training the officer candidates, and we had control whether they were second lieutenant or colonels or whatever. And the funny thing that happened was we ran what we call problems for them. We would plant guys here and there, and they'd have to maneuver to get out of the way. But I went up in a tree as a sniper, and they had cut a hedge road, looked like a lumber pathway through the woods, and with a big target that was up probably 20 feet, which we were using real ammo. But I got up into this tree, and they had given us a little flour sack. Tissue, kind of like tissue, but very fragile. And they said that this was a hand grenade, so if anybody passed below, you throw the flour sack down and they were out of the problem.
Kind of like
I mean,
paintballs.
they were prisoners and then done. But what happened, I had a colonel and a captain, I think, 2 other officers made their CP right underneath my tree. Never looked up, never looked up. So when they got kind of in a bunch, I dropped my flour sack. Just when I dropped it, the colonel right in the face. I thought, man, I am in big trouble. He was in big trouble, actually. I mean, they were done, and he took it very nicely. He didn't laugh too hard. I don't think he really meant it. But in our trip, we were going to go to
Colorado.
New Jersey was a disembarkment to go to England. And we lined up outside at Fort Benning, our company, and the lieutenant came down the line and he stopped by me. He looked at me. I had a pair of rimless glasses, no rim on them. He says, "Where's your GI glasses?" I said, "My what?" I had never gotten any GI glasses. And 2 others who turned out to be real buddies that were in the same boat. And I think we spent about 6 weeks there waiting for our glasses. Well, of course, our whole rest of our company was gone. So we were on our own, more or less. And we got over to England and we had tickets for a train ride to Barnstable, England, to join the first. And we got to London. We had a transfer at London to another train. We had probably 20 minutes, I think. And this buddy of mine, his name was George Leach. He was nutty. Well, we are all kind of nuts, you know, we're teenagers, 20. And George says to me, he said, "You know," he says, "we got 20 minutes." He says, "I think we missed that train, didn't we?" Okay. It was foggy out, and the first thing we came to was, I think it was a Lion's Head or something, a pub. So we went in there, and apparently after a few beers, we got kind of rowdy, and we were picked up by the London police. So they took us into the station. They called the MPs, and 3 that was a great adventure. So I did see London, but not much.
I was trying to figure out for our trip, do we fly into Paris? Do we fly into London? What do we do? So I asked Dad, "Have you ever seen London? Have you ever, seen any of that? Do we want to start there?" And he said, "I've only seen London through the bars of a jail cell." Okay, well, we're going to go to Paris. They were young and restless, but he lost a lot of his really good friends on D-Day on that beach. And as a result, has said, it's been really hard for him to get close, the rest of his army time, to get close to anybody because he would just lose them. And it was really hard. And Daddy had shared with me that he and my mom went to see Saving Private Ryan when I don't know if it just came out or had been out for a while. But he wouldn't talk about the war forever. I mean, I never heard about it growing up. And to go to Saving Private Ryan was a huge step for Dad. And he said that is the only movie that he has seen the first, 10 to 15 minutes.
For 10 minutes, if you see it, that's the way it was.
Yeah, he said it's realistic. That's the way it was. Bill?
Was Omaha Beach your first battle experience, or have you been exposed to combat before then?
Was Omaha your first battle experience?
Yes.
Oh, what
Yeah, he was experienced. They wanted the experienced guys on Omaha Beach. So, never been a battle.
Yeah, after we got our experience, then we were the #1 guys, you know, if there was a problem. These guys are taken because they're got a lot of experience. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Don,
Bert, you said when you finally got up on the bluff above the beach with what was left of your group, how long did it take before there was enough organization for you to continue on doing what's next?
About 2 or 3 days.
2 or 3
Before
days.
I had a full squad or a full platoon.
did you stay on the beach during that time?
No.
You stayed above the beach?
Yeah.
But
I didn't
not,
want to go back.
yeah. But
The second wave and even the third wave that went in there were still being fired on. That's,
Gary,
Once you were on the beach and up on the cliffs and going inland, how much interaction, how much personal interaction did you have with the civilians?
Gary wants to know what your personal interaction with the civilians in France as you were going across. Tell him about your farmhouse.
Only once did I run into any problem with the French people. They were very happy to see us. But we were on a patrol. There was 3 of us, recon patrol, and came on this farmhouse. And I knocked at the door. They're stupid. I mean, could have been the wrong people in there. But this lady, French lady, answered the door, invited us in, and her and her husband were there. Well, the first thing that caught my eye was this big tub of butter, about this high, about this big around. And in our homeland, we hadn't seen butter or anything like that forever. And also, there was 2 big baskets of eggs sitting on the table. So I asked the gentleman there, as best I could I trade some cigarettes or chocolate? No. And we did everything we get on our knees. We started out the door and I thought, you know, this is kind of nuts. I told Fitz, my buddy there, I said, you go take your helmet off, get some eggs, take as much butter as you want, and we'll get out of it. And so that's what we did. But that was the only time that anybody ever refused anything. It kind of struck me like the farmers in Normandy were not too fussy who was in command, because they had their own little place there. It was different.
Carol, you had something.
I was just wondering about the ceremony that took place. I would just like to hear about the ceremony that you just were honored at.
The ceremony where you got your medal.
Oh,
You want me to talk about it?
yeah.
Yeah, it was a beautiful dinner they put on. There were 5 other guys that were being honored, and I guess the French Legion of Honor medal is the highest in France. That's what we've been told. And the guys were just honored to give it to Dad and the other fellows. There was a French 4-star general, and I cannot remember his name. Well, we met him. We met General Milley. He's the head of the Chief of Staff of the Army, big 4-star general guy. We met him the first night we were there, and he gave Dad a medallion, which is over there as well. Really nice guy, but kind of an up-the-omen thing. But at this one, this 4-star general gave a speech. They had the paratrooper band, evidently, which is a or the chorus of the band, which is pretty well known. 101 paratrooper, or 126, or 8, or something. One of those. But they were wonderful. They played. There were flags. There was a great dinner.
I was totally embarrassed.
Yeah, he was. I mean, the humility of the men on the stage was just so palpable. they didn't feel they needed that honor because everybody really participated. I know that's how Daddy felt. But it was at that time, just before the ceremony, that he was talking with the guy next to him and found out that was his boat captain. And then the four-star general gets up and just gives a wonderful speech. I think I have it taped and I might be able to go through and put something up on Facebook. But he honored all 5 of those guys. And the castle we were at was also the place where Rommel had lunch with some of his German guys. One of them was killed on a road, which we went to. We had this wonderful private guide that we stayed with, who was a historian of World War II and part of the Normandy Institute, as was the Contessa and some other eccentric guy, who was wonderful. But they did all these things with us that was so historical. And so Daddy has a picture of all the vets that were there on the stairs that Rommel stood on. And then, of course, he and I have a picture on the stairs. I guess anybody who goes to this particular place or goes to Normandy wants a picture where Rommel stood. I don't know why, but we've got a picture where Rommel stood. I think he was German, right?
I think
Yeah. So that was the place for the Legion of Honor.
Cheri, were the other men on their parade, were they, any of them Americans, or were they all?
I don't think so. I think they were all British, weren't they?
yeah, pretty sure. Yeah, I guess we're all right.
Yeah, there wasn't another American that was honored at that point. And the one was the boat captain, and the others, I think, had something to do with paratrooping or something like that.
Pretty soldiers or something.
Yeah. But they had emailed me to get his papers because they really wanted to honor him, which I knew nothing about the Legion of Honor or any of this. But Marilyn.
When you arrived in England, how long did you wait before the invasion?
When you arrived in England, how long did you wait before the invasion?
It was probably about 2 months or 6 weeks. Something like
Did you know at that time what you were going to be involved in?
that. No, I didn't. Well, I don't know how they ever kept a secret, but they did. Of course, we were confined to quarters more or less, so we didn't get out to all the place that we were at.
Did you ever get the big picture of what you were all doing?
Yeah, we got her, but we got her on the ship.
At the end of a gun.
The non-commissioned officers and the officers that were given the privilege of knowing where we were going. But they wanted us to keep it from the privates or the rest of the fellows because it might affect them as far as the battle went. Better not to know what you're going to do, I guess.
Yeah.
But I knew that most of them didn't know.
And they were all young, you kind of keep in mind, and when they were they got on the boat, evidently they served a big breakfast that morning
Yeah.
to the guys.
I could have forgot that. The sea was very rough, and myself, I did not get seasick. But boy, the guys were just sick and drunk. And one of the things that happened on that ship, I went out after breakfast out on the rail, and there was this soldier, young fellow, young fellow, probably years younger than I was. And he asked me to introduce himself. His name was Billy Thorpe. And we got to talking. Well, he wasn't showing up, we were talking. But he asked me, he had a letter, and he said, would you take this letter in case something happens to me? He says, give it to my sergeant so he can notify home. And he died the first night. We were there, machine gun. That was a sad deal. I tried to convince him that stupid voice that day, you're gonna be okay. He was right.
Yeah, you said with the guys going off the LCDs, is that what they're called? Yeah, they were already sick to their stomachs, feeling really crummy, getting, they called it misplaced. They were docking at a place where they weren't expecting. And in water, that was deeper than they were expecting, so it was up to Dad's, chest.
I think the English coxswain that was running the boat was in a little hurry to get out of there. He certainly could have went another 25, 30 yards. He got too much done. He get broke up.
Yeah, yeah.
But they lost a lot of their landing craft. The two friends I was telling you about that we were in London and landed in jail. But one of them, George Mays, on D-Day, there was a machine gun fire, and they took him and another fellow volunteered more or less to go up and try to knock off this machine gun nest. And they did get behind it, and unknown, there was two German soldiers. I suppose one was feeding the thing and the other one was firing. And George said, I'll count to 3, we'll shoot. And which he did, and they both shot, and they both shot the same German. The other one turned the machine, before they could do anything, he had turned the machine gun around. George took one on his shoulder, the other guy was killed. And George, like myself, not thinking, I mean, he was a hunter, and you fellows out in the imagine hunter, so if you're two guys, two ducks come in, you take the one on your side, he takes the one on your side, and that's what George was saying. But they both fired at the same time. So George was gone probably 6 weeks, and he was back.
Really?
And they didn't break any bones or anything, just went through the flesh and part of the shoulder.
Yeah. Oh, Josh, yes.
You said you were an officer when you were on Normandy. What rank were you?
What rank were you?
I was staff sergeant. The squad leader.
They were the first division, the big red one, 16th Regiment.
16th Regiment, 1st Division.
1st Division, 16th Regiment, and they were
Company L.
Company L.
1st platoon, 1st squad.
Yeah.
That was uppers.
Yeah. And that book on the table over there does, it talks, it's about the big red one and the various different places they came in and what they did in the different companies. But in looking at this book, it's what was planned, and I don't think the landing of where your dad went or anybody else was according to the plan of the book, because there was so much weather and waves and misplacement. Nothing happened right on Omaha Beach. The paratroopers didn't make it in the way they were supposed to. The planes that were going to go over the beach to drop bombs to make holes in the beach so that these guys would have cover so they could drop into the holes, that never happened.
When we had our meeting on the ship, that was my first question. Is there going to be any cover? Oh, don't worry. There's going to be bomb craters all over that beach. You're going to just blow. Yeah. It was flat as a pancake. The bomber dropped the bombers back. Bill knows more about it than I do.
I just read the book. He did it.
Maybe a couple more questions, and we can just mill around. Go ahead.
Well, did you ever meet General Eisenhower? Did you ever in a position to meet him?
Did you meet General Eisenhower?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I did. I shook hands with him. He happened to be where I was. And we did get to meet him, shook his hand. In fact, his granddaughter, Susan Eisenhower, was one of the
She was with us during the whole trip. She didn't stay with us in the same place, but she was at everything we went to. And we like to say Susan is our new best friend.
At first she was a little, well, I suppose it would be a little hard to talk to her. And I told her, I said, you know, I shook hands with your grandfather. She threw her arms around me, she was in, and she was with me the rest of the time.
Yeah. She was, it's interesting because Susan works with kids. She's in Virginia, I think is where she lives, and she tries to get groups of kids to Normandy. So, and she works with getting the expenses and everything, getting them over there because she believes in giving them the experience of what this is all about so that they can really feel it. So she works with that quite a bit right now. James?
Bert had said one thing. He said, well, I just happened to meet Eisenhower. The reason that Eisenhower picked that unit was because they had experience in North Africa and Sicily. And he knew that this was the toughest part of the invasion. So he basically came to see the soldiers that he thought had the toughest job. Because they sent 30,000 in there, and that's why he was there.
Omaha Beach, it turns out as we talked to people, really was the key to stopping Hitler. James?
Well, I was curious as far as your faith story and how it interacts with your time in World War II and, you know, and going into France and just everything you went through and how that impacted your relationship with God, kind of, and
we'll just tell them that the foxhole story, no atheists in foxholes.
Oh, yeah. There are no atheists in foxholes. That's correct.
And you had no foxhole.
But they were praying for him.
Yeah. I think having been there this last couple weeks has made both of us realize that there is a bigger picture here than either of us even know. I mean, Dad was in the middle of this battle, and there was so much going on in the big picture, like the over picture, and probably didn't grasp the bigness of it until we went back. And I mean, it was that way for me, and I think for you too.
Yeah, God was with me. No God. I had the sweetest wife in the world waiting for me. She passed away a year ago.
Yeah, that was hard being a newlywed over there. Daddy said when he got to the beach, he stopped to take a breath behind, there's some sort of a post that's up and it's a tank stopper or something.
Oh.
Yeah, you don't stop and wonder what's going on. You take a breath and you keep going. He said if you stopped moving, you died. And he thought it was raining out. And he said, you know, here I am all wet from the beach and now it's raining. And then he realized it was not raining. It was
I
bullets.
could see the streets of the water, bullets. I was young, I could really move.
Why don't we just take a break? If you want to just come up and ask him questions, he can probably hear you better, closer. And
What about the Battle of the Bulge?
yes, he got shot there.
That's right. Got it. But, yeah, I got hit right at the beginning of the bulge, just outside of Mons, Belgium, where the whole thing started. Probably the happiest day of my life. And I'm going home.
Under the Arc of Triumph?
Yeah, $1 million boom.
He was on scout patrol going to see, there's some big forest there.
Argonne Forest.
Yeah,
Argonne.
yes. And he was trying to see what they were up against and got shot.
Reconnaissance.
Yeah.
It was stupidity on my part, but not so really. It was great. But
Yeah, he said he was feeling a bit cocky and invincible because he'd made it this far and going into reconnaissance,
got it.
he didn't crawl. He stood up, which
It's funny
didn't target.
because you, after, I think 5 or 6 weeks, you get the feeling that you're invincible. You know, I'm not yet, I wasn't yet on the beach, they can't get me now. Well, until I got there, foolish mistake, I was upright. And maybe not, because if I'd been crawling, it probably shot me in the head.
Yeah, right. Again, the fingerprints of God.
Yeah, and I was down in a pretty open field, and this buddy of mine, Fitzer, I call him, he was a full-blooded Choctaw Indian, and but just a great guy. And
Yeah, he, after Dad went down, Fitz came out.
Yeah, when I went down, he crawled out into that field, and he was being fired on, got me, grabbed me, and crawled me back to the ditch that we were in. I tried to find him. It was kind of a funny thing. I'm going rambling here. But I tried to find him or locate him after I got home. And Fitz, who was just a great guy and kind of a comedian, always told me, he says, you won't believe this, but I'm from Chandler, Arizona.
My dad's last name is Chandler.
I said, what a coincidence, Jody. Well, I tried everywhere in Arizona to try to locate this guy after I got home, and there was nobody. There was nobody in Arizona.
Probably.
But then Cheri got on
Facebook.
and located his son.
Who's a
who's
pastor.
He was just releasing my life.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bert.